So, dear students, let's conclude this topic today. How do atoms react? We have discussed this topic in previous three lectures. Dear students, we have seen that the atom, it may be a metal or a non-metal. These metals or non-metals, they react with different reagents, different other atoms, and they form a library of compounds. And uh, we have seen that there are two ways how these metals chemically combine with one another. One way is where loss and gain of electrons takes place. This is the first way. And the second way is where sharing of electrons takes place between the two atoms. So dear students, this mode of combination where loss and gain of electrons takes place, it takes place when a metal combines with a non-metal. Metals, due to their electropositive nature, they lose electrons, and non-metals, due to their electronegative nature, they gain electrons. And we have seen that the metal atoms, they usually contain 1, 2, or 3 electrons in their outermost shell, and these metal atoms can lose 1, 2, or all the 3 electrons so as to attain the nearest noble gas configuration. So similarly, the non-metals atoms, they usually contain 5, 6, or 7 electrons in their outermost shell. So the non-metallic atom, which is having 5 electrons in its outermost shell, it is short of 3 more electrons to acquire the nearest noble gas configuration. That is why it gains 3 electrons, which are usually lost during its combination with the metal. So dear students, so this metal atom loses electron, it forms positively charged ion. A non-metal gains electron, it forms negatively charged atom and ion, and these two ions, oppositely charged ions, they are held together by strong bond, chemical bond, that is the ionic bond. And dear students, uh, with this ionic bond, we have the formation of ionic compound. So dear students, these ionic compounds, they are also known as electrovalent compound. So this is the one of the way how uh, atoms combine. If the atom belongs to the metal and non-metal, you usually expect the formation of an ionic compound, and these ionic compounds, they contain the ionic bond in which the uh, both positively and negatively ions are held together by strong electrostatic force of attraction. Dear students, these ionic compounds, they have many characteristic features or many characteristics which we discuss in a separate video. So dear students, now coming to the second process where atoms combine together, in which sharing of electrons takes place. Dear students, in this concept, when a non-metal combines with another non-metal, dear students, what happens here? Both the atoms belong to the non-metallic category. Dear students, non-metals or electron acceptors. Here we do not have an electron donator. So due to absence of donation of electrons, so we cannot expect the acceptance of electrons. So what happens, both these atoms, they share electrons, and due to this sharing of electrons, the bond between these two atoms, that is known as the covalent bond. And the formation of such compounds which involves such type of bonding, they are known as covalent compounds. Dear students, the main reason between these two types of combinations is that here formation of ions, positively and negatively charged ions are formed. However, in this case, no ion species formation takes place. यहाँ पे कोई ions नहीं बनते हैं. Positive and negative ions जो है, they do not form in case where sharing of electrons takes place between the two non-metallic atoms. So coming to an example, dear students, let's discuss the formation of methane. Let's discuss the formation of methane. So the formula is CH4. So if I write here, this is the carbon and this is the hydrogen. So symbol is C and here it is H. Dear students, both are non-metals. This is a non-metal and this is also the non-metal. However, hydrogen in certain cases have the tendency of losing electrons and it forms the proton H positive. So here what happens, the carbon, it is having atomic number 6 and electronic configuration is 2 and 4. So carbon cannot, being a non-metal, it cannot donate electron. Rather, if we see its accepting tendency, it has to accept 4 electrons, but it is not possible to, it is very under normal conditions the carbon atom cannot gain 4 electrons. So hydrogen, its atomic number is 1 and its electronic configuration is also 1. So let's write the Lewis dot symbols for carbon. So it is carbon, it is the last shell contains 4 electrons. It is 1, 2, 3, 4. So dear students, this carbon is in short of, it is in short of 4 electrons to achieve nearest noble gas configuration, that is 2 and 8, that is neon. So this carbon atom, it needs 4 more electrons, but the hydrogen, it can provide only 1 electron. So what happens, a hydrogen atom comes here, it has the 1 electron and these 2 electrons, they are shared by the carbon and hydrogen atoms both. Similarly, 4 hydrogen atoms, they will come like this. So these 4 electrons of each hydrogen, they also belong to the carbon now. And similarly, these 4 electrons of the carbon, they also belong to hydrogen now, like this. So what happens now, carbon is having the octet complete and hydrogen is having duplet. All hydrogens are having duplet. So both have gained the nearest electronic noble gas configuration and both are now stable in the compound, that's the methane. And dear students, we have seen here no electron loss or gain takes place, no ionic species are seen in the formation of this molecule. So only what happens, the electrons are being shared between the atoms. So this hydrogen, it provides 1 electron, carbon provides 1 electron. These 2 electrons, they remain in between these two carbon atoms, the carbon and hydrogen atoms, and these two electrons, they held the carbon and hydrogen atoms together with a covalent bond. So simultaneously, same is the case of other three hydrogen atoms that bind covalently with the carbon atom. So dear students, this is how the formation of a molecule takes place when both atoms are the non-metal. So such formation involves sharing of electrons, and this is the covalent bond, or we can say these are the covalent compounds. So dear students, if we discuss another example, suppose we will take carbon dioxide molecule. See, carbon is again having 4 electrons in its outermost shell. Carbon is having atomic number 6, electronic configuration is 24, so it is having 1, 2, 3, 4 electrons in its outermost shell. So taking the case of oxygen, atomic number is oxygen, atomic number of oxygen is 8, electronic configuration is 26. So there are 6 valence electrons in oxygen atom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here what happens, this carbon is, it is in short of 4 electrons. इसको 4 और electrons चाहिए ताकि it gets to an 8 configuration, that is neon, nearest stable noble gas configuration. And similarly, this oxygen atom, it is in short of 2 electrons. इसको 2 electrons चाहिए, it becomes 2 8, that is the neon configuration. So what happens, these carbon and oxygen, they share 2 electrons. So suppose this is the carbon and this is the oxygen. Oxygen is having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 electrons. So carbon also gives its 2 electrons. These are 2 electrons of carbon, and these are 2 electrons of other 2 electrons of carbon. So here the oxygen and one carbon atom, they form bond between them. So what happens, the oxygen atom provides 2 electrons, carbon atom provides 2 electrons, and with these 2 electrons, they are being shared by both the 2 atoms. The electrons become a source of attraction, become a source with which these 2 atoms are held together. Since 2 electrons are contributed by both these 2 atoms, that's why a double covalent bond is being formed. And here we have seen the formation of single covalent bond. So here now this oxygen atom, if we see, it is having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 electrons in its last shell. So this oxygen atom is now stable. So if we count the electrons of carbon, so carbon is having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it is short in 2 more electrons. So what happens, another oxygen comes from this side. It is having 6 electrons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and here uh, again double bond formation takes place between now the carbon atom and another oxygen atom. So this oxygen atom now gets 8 electrons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this has also got the octet, and now the carbon atom, it also gains 8 electrons. It also have now 8 electrons. These are the 4 and these are the 4 electrons. So actually what happens, these electrons, they do not or they are not being transferred from one atom to another atom. However, they are shared by both atoms, uh, by carbon atom and oxygen atom. And this type of bonding, this type of chemical combinations in which the electrons that are shared by 2 atoms, and this is the covalent bond, and such compounds are known as covalent compounds. So that is why we can show this carbon molecule like this: C double bond O, C double bond O. This is the formation of another covalent molecule. So dear students, I hope that you have learned how uh, actually bonding takes place when atoms react with other atoms, whether it is metal or a non-metal. So I have seen how covalent bonding takes place, how ionic compounds are formed, and how covalent compounds are formed. What is the basic way of combination of these atoms or formation of such compounds. I hope that you have learned this concept very well, and thanks for watching this class.